Before we begin the eulogy, Marcus Brennan announced, his voice steady and clear over the microphone, I have something important to share with all of you. The funeral chapel fell silent. 200 mourners dressed in black turned their attention to the man standing at the podium, just 3 feet away from the closed casket containing his wife's body. Lily's casket. Lily's funeral. Lily's goodbye. Many of you know that Lily and I had our struggles, Marcus continued, straightening his expensive tie. The past year was difficult, but I want you all to know that I found happiness again. And I believe Lily would want me to be happy. In the front row, Lily's mother gripped the armrest of her chair, her knuckles turning white. Her father sat frozen, his face pale with disbelief. Marcus smiled then, a smile that didn't quite reach his eyes. So today, in this moment of transition, I want to introduce you all to someone very special. Someone who helped me through the darkest period of my life. He gestured toward the side entrance of the chapel, and a woman emerged. She was younger than Lily had been, maybe 28, with perfectly styled blonde hair, and a dress that was just a shade too bright for a funeral. Not quite black, charcoal gray. Almost respectful, almost. This is Vanessa, Marcus said, and 3 days ago I asked her to be my wife. She said yes. The chapel erupted. Gasps, shouts, someone's phone clattered to the floor. Lily's best friend, Rebecca, stood up so fast her chair tipped backward. You did not just announce your engagement at your wife's funeral, Rebecca said, her voice shaking with rage. Marcus raised his hand, his expression patient, like a teacher dealing with an unruly student. I understand this might seem shocking to some of you, but Lily was sick for a long time. She knew I needed support. She would understand. She's been dead for 4 days, Lily's father roared, standing up. 4 days. Which is why I wanted to share this news with the people who mattered most to both of us, Marcus replied smoothly. Lily's gone. Life continues. I'm simply being honest about where mine is heading. Vanessa smiled awkwardly at the crowd, her hand resting on her stomach in a gesture that was either nervous or something else, something that made several people in the audience exchange knowing glances. My name was Lily Brennan, and 48 hours ago, I died of ovarian cancer at the age of 34. I'd fought for 18 months, through surgery and chemotherapy and radiation and pain that felt like my body was burning from the inside out. I'd lost my hair, my strength, my ability to walk without help. I'd lost everything except my dignity. And now at my own funeral, my husband of 7 years was taking that too. But what Marcus didn't know, what Vanessa didn't know, what none of the 200 people gathered in that chapel knew, was that I'd spent the last 3 months of my life preparing for exactly this moment. Because I'd known. God help me. I'd known what he would do. 6 months before I died, I'd found the text messages. Marcus had left his phone on the kitchen counter while he showered, and a notification had lit up the screen. Can't wait to see you tonight, baby. She'd be asleep by 8. I'd opened his phone, his passcode was my birthday. The irony wasn't lost on me, and found 6 months of messages between my husband and his personal assistant. Vanessa. Sweet, supportive Vanessa who brought him coffee at the office. Who stayed late to help with projects. Who sent him photos that no assistant should ever send her boss. I'd sat there in our kitchen, my body weak from that week's chemotherapy, my hands shaking as I scrolled through message after message, plans to meet at hotels. Complaints about how much time he had to spend taking care of the sick wife. Discussions about their future together. About how he was just waiting for the inevitable. The messages went back months, which meant he'd started the affair right around the time the doctors told us the cancer had spread. Right around the time I needed him most. I could have confronted him. Could have screamed and cried and demanded a divorce. But I was dying. I had maybe 6 months left, maybe less. What would be the point? He'd just deny it, gaslight me, make my final months even more miserable than they already were. So instead I'd made a plan. Now standing at the podium in front of my casket, Marcus was still talking. I know some of you might think this is too soon, but Vanessa has been my rock through this difficult time. She's been there when I needed someone to lean on. And honestly, he paused, his voice dropping to something that almost sounded sincere. I think Lily would approve. She always wanted me to be happy. Rebecca was crying now, furious tears streaming down her face. You're disgusting, she spat. You're absolutely disgusting. I'm being honest, Marcus countered, which is more than most people would do. Now, if we could all please respect this moment and move forward with the service. Actually, a voice called from the back of the chapel. There's been a change to the program. Everyone turned. Father Michael, the priest who was supposed to conduct the service, stood near the AV booth with a DVD in his hand. He was 70 years old, with kind eyes and a gentle demeanor that had comforted Lily during her final months. Lily left specific instructions, Father Michael said, his voice carrying clearly through the chapel. She recorded a message she wanted played at her funeral. I have it here. Marcus's confident expression faltered for just a second. A message? She never mentioned. She asked me not to tell anyone until today. Father Michael interrupted. She was very specific about that. Very specific about when it should be played. The old priest walked to the front of the chapel and handed the DVD to the AV technician. Please, he said. This was Lily's final wish. Marcus looked at Vanessa. Vanessa looked at Marcus. And for the first time since the service began, uncertainty flickered across both their faces. The lights dimmed. A large screen descended from the ceiling above the altar. And there, larger than life, appeared an image that made the entire chapel go silent. It was Lily. Not the sick, frail Lily from her final weeks. This was Lily from 3 months ago, still thin from the cancer, but with her eyes bright and fierce. She sat in what looked like her home office, the camera positioned carefully so you could see her face clearly. Hello, everyone. Lily's voice filled the chapel through the sound system. If you're watching this, it means I'm dead. It means the cancer won. And it means Marcus did exactly what I knew he would do. She smiled then. And it wasn't a kind smile. It was the smile of someone who'd been planning something for a very long time. Let me tell you a story about the man standing next to my casket. If you're enjoying this story and want to see how Lily's final message destroys the man who betrayed her, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Marcus lunged toward the AV booth. Turn that off. Right now. This is completely inappropriate. But Father Michael stepped into his path. And despite being 70 years old, the priest's presence was formidable. Sit down, Mr. Brennan. This is Lily's funeral. Her wishes will be respected. On screen, Lily continued speaking as if she could see the exact scene unfolding in the chapel. Marcus is probably trying to stop this video right now, she said, that knowing smile still on her face. He's probably saying it's inappropriate or disrespectful. But here's what's actually inappropriate. Sleeping with your assistant while your wife is dying. Let me show you the timeline. The screen split. On one side, Lily's face. On the other, a calendar appeared with dates highlighted in red. March 15th of last year, Lily said. That's the day Dr. Peterson told us the cancer had metastasized to my lymph nodes. That I had 12 to 18 months to live. I remember that day clearly because Marcus held my hand in the doctor's office and promised he'd be there for me through everything. The calendar date glowed brighter. March 22nd, 1 week later. That's the day Marcus sent his first explicit message to Vanessa Chun, his 28-year-old assistant. Would you like to read it, Marcus? Or should I? Marcus had gone pale. Vanessa stood frozen near the podium, her hands still on her stomach, her eyes wide with dawning horror. The screen changed again. Text messages appeared, blown up large enough for everyone to read. Marcus, my wife's asleep. Finally, can you meet me at the Riverside Hotel? Vanessa, already here, baby. Room 412. Can't wait to see you. Marcus, God, I needed this. She's so weak lately. So needy. Being with you reminds me what it's like to feel alive. Gasps filled the chapel. Someone started crying. Rebecca stood with her phone out, recording everything. That was week 1, Lily's voice continued. Want to see week 2, week 10? How about week 35, which was 2 months ago, right after my last surgery? More messages flooded the screen. Marcus, surgery went fine. She be unconscious for hours. Dinner at Marcello's? Vanessa. Celebrating her survival with the man she loves, while he's actually with me. I love the irony, Marcus. She's not going to survive. Doc gave her 3 months max. We just have to wait it out. The chapel exploded. Shouts. Crying. Lily's father started toward Marcus, but Lily's brother grabbed him, holding him back. You son of a... Her father roared. Please. Father Michael called out. Let Lily finish. Please. On screen, Lily leaned forward, her expression hardening. But it gets better, she said. Or worse, depending on your perspective. See, I didn't just find messages about the affair. I found the financial records too. New documents appeared on screen. Bank statements, credit card bills, investment transfers. For the past 8 months, Marcus has been systematically moving our money we saved together over 7 years of marriage. Money from my mother's inheritance. Money from the life insurance policy my father helped us set up into accounts with only his name. She paused, letting that sink in. $247,000. Transferred in small increments so I wouldn't notice. $5,000 here. $10,000 there. He thought I was too sick to check our accounts. Too weak to notice. Too stupid to catch on. The screen showed transaction after transaction. Each one dated, each one documented, each one irrefutable. And here's my favorite part, Lily continued. 3 months ago, Marcus increased my life insurance policy. Doubled it, actually. Told me it was to make sure I'd be taken care of if anything happened. How thoughtful, right? She leaned back, and her smile turned cold. Except the beneficiary isn't my parents, isn't my brother. It's Marcus. $1.2 million, payable upon my death. Which, as you can all see, happened right on schedule. The implication hung in the air like poison. No one was breathing. No one moved. Vanessa had started backing toward the exit, her face drained of color. Marcus stood rigid, his hands clenched into fists. Now, I'm not saying my husband killed me, Lily said carefully. The cancer did that all on its own. But I am saying that Marcus had every financial incentive to make sure I didn't fight too hard. To make sure I didn't get that experimental treatment Dr. Peterson recommended. To make sure I stayed comfortable. And stayed dying. The screen showed an email exchange between Marcus and the insurance company, discussing policy increases. Then another email, this one between Marcus and Dr. Peterson. Marcus. About the clinical trial you mentioned, Lily and I have decided against it. The side effects seem too severe. We'd rather focus on keeping her comfortable. Dr. Peterson. I understand, but I should mention the trial has shown promising results. It could add months, possibly years. Marcus. No, we've made our decision. Comfort care only from here on out. Lily's voice cracked slightly. The first time her composure had wavered. He never told me about that email. Never mentioned there was a trial. Never gave me the choice. He just decided. And when I asked him a week later if there were any other treatment options, he looked me in the eyes and said no. Said we'd tried everything. She wiped her eyes. And for a moment, the fierce woman on screen looked small and hurt and human. I found that email 3 weeks before I died. That's when I knew I had to do this. Had to make sure everyone knew exactly who Marcus Brennan really is. The image shifted one more time. A recording, audio only, began to play. The date stamp showed it was from 2 months ago. Marcus's voice filled the chapel, crystal clear. Just a few more months, babe. The doctor said she's declining fast. Once she's gone, we can get married. We'll take the insurance money, maybe buy that house you liked in Westchester. Start fresh. Vanessa's voice responded. What about her family? Won't they contest things? Contest what? I'm the legal husband. Everything goes to me. Her parents can cry about it all they want. And the baby? Vanessa asked. There was a pause. Then Marcus's laugh, cold and calculated. Perfect timing, really. We'll announce the engagement right after the funeral. Show everyone I'm moving forward with my life. By the time the baby comes, no one will question the timeline. They'll just think I found happiness fast. Americans love a redemption story. The recording ended. The silence in the chapel was absolute. Then chaos erupted. Lily's father broke free from her brother's grip and charged at Marcus, tackling him to the ground. Fists flew. People were screaming. Vanessa tried to run, but Rebecca blocked the exit, her phone still recording, capturing everything. Father Michael didn't even try to stop the fight. He just stood there, watching Marcus get exactly what he deserved. On screen, Lily's image reappeared one final time. "I spent 18 months dying," she said quietly. 18 months in pain, in fear, fighting a battle I knew I'd lose. And the whole time, the man I trusted most in the world was counting down the days until I was gone. Counting down the days until he could cash in. She looked directly into the camera, directly at every person watching. But here's what Marcus forgot. I might have been dying, but I wasn't dead yet. And a dying woman with nothing left to lose is the most dangerous thing in the world. Her smile returned, sharp and victorious. So let me tell you what else I did in those final 3 months. Security guards finally pulled Lily's father off Marcus. Blood streamed from Marcus's nose, his expensive suit torn at the shoulder. Vanessa had collapsed into a chair, sobbing, her hands shaking. On screen, Lily continued as if the violence in the chapel was exactly what she'd expected. "First, I hired someone," she said. "A private investigator named Catherine Torres, former FBI, specialized in financial crimes and infidelity cases. I used money from an old savings account Marcus didn't know about, my emergency fund from before we got married. $15,000. Best money I ever spent." The screen showed a professional-looking woman in her 50s, sharp-eyed and competent. Catherine worked fast. Within 2 weeks, she had everything: hotel receipts, restaurant charges, phone records. But more importantly, she found Vanessa's apartment. A photograph appeared. A luxury apartment building in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Nice place, right? 2-bedroom doorman building, monthly rent of $4,500. Pretty expensive for an assistant making $60,000 a year. Want to guess who was paying for it? Bank records flashed on screen. Automatic transfers from Marcus's account to the building's management company. 12 months of payments. $54,000. "My money," Lily said, her voice hardening. "Money from our joint account that Marcus told me was going toward business investments. Turns out the investment was a love nest for his mistress." Marcus was back on his feet now, being restrained by 2 security guards. "This is slander," he shouted. "Defamation. My lawyers will—" "Your lawyers already know," Lily interrupted from beyond the grave. "Because that was step 2. I hired my own attorney. Not the family lawyer Marcus trusted. Someone new. Someone he'd never met. A distinguished man in his 60s appeared on screen, sitting in a law office. "My name is Richard Castellanos," the man said. "Senior partner at Castellanos and Associates. 3 months ago, Lily Brennan came to my office with evidence of financial fraud, adultery, and potential insurance fraud. She asked me to prepare documentation that would be released upon her death." Richard held up a thick folder. "This folder contains notarized copies of every piece of evidence Mrs. Brennan collected. Bank statements, text messages, audio recordings, photographs. It also contains her formal complaint to the New York State Attorney General's office regarding suspected insurance fraud." Marcus's face went white. "That complaint was filed 2 months ago," Richard continued. "But with the specific instruction, it was to remain sealed until after Mrs. Brennan's death. As of this morning, that complaint is now active. An investigation has been opened." He set the folder down and looked directly into the camera. "Additionally, Mrs. Brennan filed for divorce 6 weeks before her death. The papers were served to Mr. Brennan this morning at 6 a.m., approximately 3 hours before this funeral began." The chapel erupted again. Marcus was shaking his head violently. "That's impossible. I never received—" "You were served at your office," Richard said calmly. "The process server has a signed receipt with your signature. You received the papers, reviewed them, and told your secretary to shred them. Unfortunately for you, your secretary Linda Morrison, who's worked for your company for 12 years, made copies first. A middle-aged woman stood up in the back of the chapel. She'd been sitting quietly, unnoticed until now. "I'm Linda," she said, her voice steady. "And I've been documenting everything for the past 8 months. Every lie Marcus told. Every time he left early to meet Vanessa. Every financial document he tried to hide. Lily asked me to help and I said yes. Because I've watched this man destroy a good woman while pretending to be devoted." She held up her own phone. "I have recordings too. Conversations between Marcus and Vanessa in his office. Meetings where he discussed how to maximize the insurance payout. Phone calls where he told business partners his wife was almost gone and he'd be free to travel soon." Marcus tried to lunge toward Linda, but the security guards held him firm. On screen, Lily was smiling again. "Linda was incredible," she said. "So was Catherine. So was Richard. But my favorite ally was someone Marcus had known for years. Someone he trusted completely. Someone who had access to everything." The image changed. A younger man appeared, maybe 35, in business casual attire. "This is Dr. James Chun," Lily said. Marcus's personal physician. Also, coincidentally, Vanessa Chun's older brother. Gasps rippled through the chapel. Vanessa's head snapped up, her tear-stained face contorted with confusion. "James came to me 2 months ago," Lily continued. "Apparently, Big Brother wasn't thrilled about his little sister sleeping with a married man whose wife was dying. James had been Marcus's doctor for 5 years. He had access to medical records, prescription histories, everything. Dr. Chun appeared on screen now, sitting in what looked like a hospital office. "I violated no patient confidentiality laws," he said carefully. "But I did provide Mrs. Brennan with information she requested about her own medical care, including the fact that her husband had asked me, on 3 separate occasions, about medications that might ease her suffering." He paused, letting that sink in. Specifically, he asked about dosages of morphine that would keep her comfortable but sedate. Unable to advocate for herself. Unable to research treatment options. He wanted her compliant, quiet, dying on a predictable timeline. Marcus was shouting now, incoherent denials. But no one was listening. All eyes were on the screen. "I refused, of course," Dr. Chun continued. "And I documented every conversation. When Mrs. Brennan contacted me and explained what she suspected, I shared those notes with her. I also shared that my sister had told me she was pregnant with Marcus's child, that they were planning to get married the moment his wife died, that Marcus had promised her a life of luxury funded by insurance money." He looked disgusted. "I told Vanessa she was making a terrible mistake. She didn't listen. So I decided to help Mrs. Brennan instead. Because some betrayals are so profound, they deserve to be exposed." On screen, Lily reappeared. "So now you know," she said. "I spent my final months building a case, collecting evidence, recruiting allies. Every day that Marcus thought I was too weak to notice what he was doing, I was actually documenting it. Every night he thought I was sleeping, I was meeting with lawyers and investigators." She leaned forward, and her expression was fierce despite her obvious physical frailty. Marcus thought he was so smart, thought he found the perfect crime. Marry a woman, wait for her to get sick, cheat while she's dying, collect the insurance, and ride off into the sunset with his pregnant mistress. Clean, simple, legal. Her smile turned predatory. But he forgot one thing. I knew him better than anyone. I knew exactly how arrogant he was, how convinced of his own cleverness. I knew he'd announce his engagement at my funeral because he couldn't help himself. He had to win, had to prove he'd moved on, had to show everyone that he was the victim here, the grieving husband who'd suffered so much and deserved happiness. She shook her head slowly. "So I planned for this exact moment, this exact scenario. Everything you're seeing right now. Marcus standing next to my casket with his mistress, announcing their engagement. Me exposing him in front of everyone who matters. I wrote this script 3 months ago. And you followed it perfectly." The screen went dark for a moment. Then Lily's voice continued, softer now. "But we're not done yet. Because the evidence you've seen, the text messages, the financial records, the audio recordings, that's just what I wanted everyone here to know. What I wanted my family and friends to understand. The real consequences start tomorrow. The image returned. Lily looked directly into the camera one final time. Marcus, if you're still in this chapel, I want you to listen carefully. Tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Richard Castellanos will be holding a press conference. He'll be releasing everything to the media. Every text message, every bank record, every piece of evidence proving you're a fraud, a cheat, and potentially a criminal. She paused. By noon tomorrow, your face will be on every news channel. Your company will be investigating you. Your business partners will be distancing themselves, and that insurance company you were counting on, they'll be denying your claim faster than you can say fraud investigation. Her expression softened slightly. I won't be here to see it. But everyone I love will? They'll watch you lose everything the way you watched me lose everything. Your reputation, your money, your freedom. All of it gone. Because that's what happens when you bet against a dying woman who has nothing left to lose. The screen faded to black. Then text appeared. The full evidence package has been submitted to the New York State Attorney General, the Insurance Fraud Bureau, the IRS, Marcus Brennan's Board of Directors, and every major news outlet in the tri-state area. Release time. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. EST. Father Michael stepped forward as the lights came back up. I believe that concludes Lily's message, he said quietly. The funeral will now proceed as originally planned. Minus, of course, Mr. Brennan's announcement. Marcus stood in the center of the chapel, surrounded by security guards, his future crumbling around him in real time. Vanessa sat hunched in her chair, crying, her hand still protectively over her stomach, realizing too late what kind of man she'd actually tied herself to. And somewhere, Lily was having the last laugh. End of block 3 to 8,459 characters, needs trimming. Let me revise to hit the 6,000 character maximum. Block 3. Secret preparation plus rising action. Security guards pulled Lily's father off Marcus. Blood streamed from Marcus's nose, his expensive suit torn at the shoulder. Vanessa had collapsed into a chair, sobbing. On screen, Lily continued as if the violence was exactly what she'd expected. First, I hired someone. A private investigator named Catherine Torres. Former FBI, specialized in financial crimes. I used money from an old savings account Marcus didn't know about. $15,000. Best money I ever spent. The screen showed hotel receipts, restaurant charges, phone records. But more importantly, Catherine found Vanessa's apartment. A photograph appeared. A luxury building in Manhattan's Upper East Side. Nice place. Monthly rent of $4,500. Pretty expensive for an assistant making $60,000 a year. Want to guess who was paying? Bank records flashed on screen. Automatic transfers from Marcus's account. 12 months. $54,000. My money, Lily said. Money Marcus told me was going toward business investments. Turns out the investment was a love nest. Marcus shouted from the chapel floor. This is slander. My lawyers will... Your lawyers already know, Lily interrupted. Because that was step 2. I hired my own attorney. Richard Castellanos. A distinguished man appeared on screen, sitting in a law office. 3 months ago, Lily Brennan came to my office with evidence of fraud, adultery, and potential insurance fraud. She asked me to prepare documentation to be released upon her death. Richard held up a thick folder. This contains notarized copies of everything. It also contains her formal complaint to the New York State Attorney General's office. That complaint was filed 2 months ago, sealed until after Mrs. Brennan's death. As of this morning, it's active. An investigation has been opened. Marcus's face went white. Additionally, Mrs. Brennan filed for divorce 6 weeks before her death. The papers were served to you this morning at 6 a.m., 3 hours before this funeral. That's impossible, Marcus stammered. You were served at your office. Your secretary has the signed receipt. You told her to shred them. She made copies first. A middle-aged woman stood up in the back. I'm Linda Morrison. I've worked for Marcus for 12 years, and I've been documenting everything for the past 8 months. Every lie, every time he left early to meet Vanessa. Every financial document he tried to hide. She held up her phone. I have recordings. Conversations between Marcus and Vanessa in his office. Meetings where he discussed maximizing the insurance payout. Lily asked me to help, and I said yes. On screen, Lily smiled. Linda was incredible. So was Catherine. So was Richard. But my favorite ally was someone Marcus trusted completely. A younger man appeared. This is Dr. James Chan, Marcus's personal physician. Also Vanessa Chan's older brother. Vanessa's head snapped up, confused. James came to me 2 months ago, Lily continued. Apparently, he wasn't thrilled about his sister sleeping with a married man whose wife was dying. James provided information about my own medical care, including the fact that Marcus had asked him 3 times about medications that might ease my suffering. Dr. Chun appeared on screen. Specifically, he asked about morphine dosages that would keep her sedate, unable to advocate for herself, unable to research treatment options. He wanted her compliant, quiet, dying on a predictable timeline. Marcus was shouting denials, but no one listened. I refused, Dr. Chen continued. And I documented every conversation. When Mrs. Brennan contacted me, I shared those notes. I also shared that my sister was pregnant with Marcus's child. That they planned to marry the moment his wife died. He looked disgusted. I told Vanessa she was making a mistake. She didn't listen. So I helped Mrs. Brennan instead. On screen, Lily reappeared. So now you know. I spent my final months building a case. Collecting evidence. Recruiting allies. Every day Marcus thought I was too weak to notice. I was documenting everything. She leaned forward. Marcus thought he'd found the perfect crime. Marry a woman, wait for her to get sick, cheat while she's dying. Collect the insurance. Clean. Simple. Legal. Her smile turned predatory. But he forgot one thing. I knew him. I knew exactly how arrogant he was. I knew he'd announce his engagement at my funeral because he couldn't help himself. He had to win. She shook her head. So I planned for this exact moment. Everything you're seeing right now. I wrote this script 3 months ago. And you followed it perfectly. The screen went dark. Then Lily's voice continued. But we're not done. The evidence you've seen? That's just what I wanted everyone here to know. The real consequences start tomorrow. The image returned. Marcus, tomorrow morning at 9 a.m., Richard Castellanos will hold a press conference. He'll release everything to the media. Every text message. Every bank record. Every piece of evidence. She paused. By noon, your face will be on every news channel. Your company will investigate you. Your partners will distance themselves. And that insurance company? They'll deny your claim faster than you can say fraud investigation. Her expression softened. I won't be here to see it. But everyone I love will. They'll watch you lose everything. Your reputation, your money, your freedom. All of it gone. The screen faded to black. Then text appeared. Full evidence submitted to NY Attorney General. Insurance Fraud Bureau, IRS, Marcus Brennan's Board of Directors, and all major news outlets. Release. Tomorrow, 9 a.m. EST. Father Michael stepped forward. That concludes Lily's message. The funeral will now proceed. Marcus stood surrounded by guards, his future crumbling in real time. And somewhere, Lily was having the last laugh. The funeral never happened. Not the way Marcus had planned anyway. Within minutes of Lily's video ending, the chapel had transformed from a somber gathering into a crime scene of social destruction. Marcus stood at the center of it all, bleeding, disheveled, watching his carefully constructed world collapse in real time. Vanessa was the first domino to fall. She stood abruptly, her chair scraping against the marble floor. I didn't know, she said, her voice shaking. I swear to God I didn't know about the insurance fraud. About the medical stuff. He told me they were separated. He said she'd given him permission to move on. Liar, Rebecca spat. We have your text messages. You knew exactly what you were doing. I'm pregnant. Vanessa screamed, her hand on her stomach. I'm 28 years old and pregnant, and I thought he loved me. I thought we were building a life together. Dr. James Chun, her brother, walked down the aisle toward her. His face was stone. "You were warned," he said quietly. "I told you what kind of man he was. I begged you to end it. You chose not to listen. James, please, don't." He held up his hand. "I helped expose this because you're my sister and I love you. But I'm also ashamed of you. Deeply ashamed." "You helped this man betray his dying wife." Vanessa crumpled, sobbing. Two of her friends, former friends, judging by their expressions, led her toward the exit. She didn't look back at Marcus. Not once. Marcus watched her leave, something like panic finally breaking through his composure. "Vanessa, wait, we can fix this." "The baby, there is no we," she called back, her voice breaking. "There never was. You used me just like you used her." The chapel doors closed behind her with a hollow boom. Marcus turned to face the remaining mourners. 200 pairs of eyes stared back at him with disgust, rage, or something worse. Pity. "This is all a misunderstanding," he started, his voice desperate now, all polish gone. Lily was sick. She was paranoid, on medication. She wasn't thinking clearly. "Stop talking." Lily's father's voice cut through the chapel like a blade. He stood slowly, and despite being 72 years old, he looked capable of murder. "My daughter was dying, and you were counting her money, planning your next wedding, getting your mistress pregnant. Sir, I understand you're upset, but..." "Upset?" The old man laughed, a terrible sound. "My daughter spent her last months on Earth gathering evidence against you instead of making peace with her death. Instead of enjoying what little time she had left, she was meeting with lawyers and investigators because she knew you'd do exactly this." He walked toward Marcus, and the security guards wisely stepped aside. "She told me 2 weeks before she died. Sat me down and explained everything. Showed me the evidence. Asked me if I wanted to stop it. To let you get away with it so she could die in peace." He stopped 3 feet from Marcus. "Know what I said?" Marcus said nothing. "I said burn him down. Burn him down so thoroughly that his grandchildren will be ashamed of his name." He turned to address the entire chapel. "Lily asked me to read something after the video finished. I have it here." He pulled a letter from his jacket pocket. His hands shook as he unfolded it. "Dear Dad," he read, his voice catching. "If you're reading this, it means the video played. It means Marcus did exactly what I predicted. And it means you're all about to watch him face consequences. But before that happens, I need you to know something. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this for justice." He paused, collecting himself. "Marcus Brennan stole my money, my dignity, and my final months of peace. He denied me treatment options that might have extended my life. He made plans for my death while I was still living. And he did it all believing he was too smart to get caught, too important to face consequences. I'm proving him wrong. Not because I'm bitter, but because women like me, sick, vulnerable, trusting, need to know they can fight back. Even from the grave." Lily's father folded the letter carefully. "The rest is instructions for the estate." Lily left everything, her inheritance from her mother, her portion of the marital assets that hadn't been stolen yet, her personal savings to the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation. Marcus gets nothing. The divorce papers she filed invalidate his claim to her estate. The insurance fraud investigation will likely invalidate his claim to that policy. He will walk away from my daughter's death with exactly what he deserves. Nothing. Marcus's phone started ringing. Then ringing again. He pulled it out with shaking hands and looked at the screen. 17 missed calls. 23 text messages. His face went gray as he read them. "What is it?" someone called. "What's happening?" Marcus looked up, and for the first time, he looked genuinely afraid. "The evidence," he whispered. "It's already out. Richard said tomorrow at 9 a.m., but it's everywhere. Someone leaked it. It's on Twitter, Reddit. The news sites are already picking it up." He scrolled frantically through his phone. "My board chair just texted. Emergency meeting tonight. I'm suspended pending investigation." Scroll. "My lawyer says the DA's office wants to talk to me." Scroll. "The insurance company flagged my claim for fraud review." Scroll, scroll, scroll. Jesus Christ, it's everywhere. My face is people are calling me a murderer. You might as well be, Rebecca said coldly. You wanted her dead. You just didn't have the courage to do it yourself, so you waited for the cancer. Two men in suits appeared at the chapel entrance. Detectives, by the look of them. Marcus Brennan? The older one called. Marcus's head snapped up. We're with the Manhattan District Attorney's Office. We need you to come with us. We have some questions about insurance fraud, financial elder abuse, and potential medical negligence. I want my lawyer, Marcus said immediately. That's your right, but you're still coming with us. They walked toward him, and Marcus looked around the chapel wildly, as if searching for allies. He found none. Even the funeral home staff looked at him with contempt. This is insane, he said as the detectives reached him. I didn't kill her. The cancer killed her. I'm not a criminal. I'm a businessman who made some mistakes in a difficult marriage. Save it for your lawyer, the younger detective said. We've seen the evidence package. All 800 pages of it. You're going to need a really good attorney. They led him toward the exit. As he passed Lily's casket, Marcus stopped. For just a moment, his mask slipped completely. He looked at the closed casket containing the woman he'd married, betrayed, and underestimated, and something like recognition crossed his face. She planned all of this, he said quietly. Every second of it. She knew I'd announce the engagement. Knew I'd play right into her hands. She was dying, and she still outsmarted me. Yes, Father Michael said from beside the casket. She did. Because you made the fatal mistake of confusing physical weakness with intellectual weakness. Lily's body was failing, but her mind was sharp until the very end. Sharp enough to destroy you. Marcus laughed then. A broken sound. I really did love her once, you know. In the beginning. I don't believe you, the priest replied. I don't think you've ever loved anyone but yourself. That's why you're leaving this chapel in handcuffs while 200 people celebrate your downfall. Real love doesn't count down the days until someone dies. Real love doesn't balance care against life insurance payouts. The detectives led Marcus out into the bright afternoon sun. Cameras were already waiting, news crews, citizen journalists, people with phones out recording everything. Mr. Brennan, did you defraud your dying wife? Is it true you increased her life insurance while denying her treatment? What do you say to allegations that you essentially waited for your wife to die? Marcus said nothing, just ducked his head and climbed into the unmarked car. Back inside the chapel, Father Michael addressed the remaining mourners. Lily wanted her funeral to be a celebration of justice, not just a mourning of loss. I think we've honored that wish. Now if you'll all take your seats, we'll proceed with the actual service. A service about the woman Lily was. Brilliant, loving, strategic, and brave enough to fight back even when she had nothing left to lose. The mourners settled back into the pews. Lily's mother placed a single white lily on the casket. Her father stood beside it, one hand resting on the polished wood. I'm proud of you, baby girl, he whispered. So damn proud. If you've been moved by Lily's story of fighting back against betrayal even in her darkest hour, stay with us to see how her legacy changed everything, not just for Marcus, but for every woman who's ever been underestimated. The service began. And somewhere, Lily was finally at peace, knowing that justice had been served exactly as she'd planned it. But the story wasn't over yet. The consequences were just beginning. End of block 4-8,441 characters. Needs trimming. Let me revise to 6,000 characters. Block 4. Climax. The reversal and justice executed. The funeral never happened. Not the way Marcus had planned. Within minutes of Lily's video ending, the chapel transformed from solemn gathering to crime scene of social destruction. Marcus stood at the center, bleeding, disheveled, watching his world collapse. Vanessa was the first domino. She stood abruptly. I didn't know, she said, voice shaking. I swear, I didn't know about the insurance fraud. He told me they were separated. He said she'd given permission to move on. Liar, Rebecca spat. We have your text messages. I'm pregnant, Vanessa screamed. I'm 28 and pregnant and I thought he loved me. Dr. James Chen, her brother, walked toward her. His face was stone. You were warned. I told you what kind of man he was. You chose not to listen. James, please. Don't. I helped expose this because you're my sister. But I'm ashamed of you. You helped this man betray his dying wife. Vanessa crumpled, sobbing. Two former friends led her toward the exit. She didn't look back at Marcus. Vanessa, wait. The baby. There is no we, she called back. There never was. You used me like you used her. The doors closed with a hollow boom. Marcus turned to the mourners. 200 pairs of eyes stared back with disgust. This is a misunderstanding, he stammered. Lily was sick, paranoid, on medication. Stop talking. Lily's father's voice cut through the chapel. My daughter was dying, and you were counting her money. Planning your next wedding. Getting your mistress pregnant. Sir, I understand you're upset. Upset? My daughter spent her last months gathering evidence instead of making peace with death. Instead of enjoying her final days, she met with lawyers because she knew you'd do this. He walked toward Marcus. She told me 2 weeks before she died. Showed me the evidence. Asked if I wanted to stop it, let you get away with it so she could die in peace. Know what I said? Marcus said nothing. I said, burn him down. Burn him so thoroughly his grandchildren will be ashamed of his name. He pulled a letter from his pocket. Lily asked me to read this. His hands shook as he unfolded it. Dear Dad, if you're reading this. The video played. Marcus did exactly what I predicted. I'm not doing this for revenge. I'm doing this for justice. Marcus stole my money, my dignity, my final months of peace. He denied me treatments that might have extended my life. I'm proving him wrong. Not because I'm bitter, but because women like me need to know they can fight back. Even from the grave. He folded the letter. Lily left everything to the Ovarian Cancer Research Foundation. Marcus gets nothing. The divorce papers invalidate his estate claim. The fraud investigation will invalidate the insurance policy. Marcus's phone started ringing. 17 missed calls. 23 messages. His face went gray. What is it? Someone called. The evidence, he whispered. It's already out. It's everywhere. Twitter, Reddit, news sites. He scrolled frantically. My board suspended me. The DA wants to talk. Insurance flagged my claim. My face is people are calling me a murderer. You might as well be, Rebecca said. You wanted her dead. You just let the cancer do it. 2 men in suits appeared at the entrance. Detectives. Marcus Brennan? Manhattan DA's office. We need you to come with us. Questions about insurance fraud and medical negligence. I want my lawyer. That's your right. But you're coming with us. They walked toward him. Marcus looked around wildly for allies. Found none. This is insane. I didn't kill her. The cancer did. I'm not a criminal. Save it for your lawyer. We've seen the evidence package. All 800 pages. They led him toward the exit. As he passed Lily's casket, Marcus stopped. His mask slipped completely. She planned all of this. Every second. She knew I'd announce the engagement, knew I'd play into her hands. She was dying and still outsmarted me. Yes, Father Michael said. Because you confused physical weakness with intellectual weakness. Lily's body was failing, but her mind was sharp. Sharp enough to destroy you. Marcus laughed, broken. I really did love her once. I don't believe you, the priest replied. Real love doesn't count down days until someone dies. Doesn't balance care against insurance payouts. The detectives led Marcus out. Cameras waited news crews, phones recording. Mr. Brennan, did you defraud your dying wife? Did you deny her treatment? Marcus said nothing, ducking into the unmarked car. Inside, Father Michael addressed the mourners. Lily wanted her funeral to be a celebration of justice. We've honored that. Now we'll proceed with the actual service. About the woman Lily was brilliant, loving, strategic, brave enough to fight back when she had nothing left to lose. Lily's mother placed a white lily on the casket. Her father stood beside it. "I'm proud of you, baby girl," he whispered. "So damn proud. If you've been moved by Lily's story of fighting back against betrayal, even in her darkest hour, stay with us to see how her legacy changed everything." The service began. Lily was finally at peace, knowing justice had been served exactly as planned. But the consequences were just beginning. 3 months after Lily's funeral, the consequences were still unfolding like dominoes in slow motion. Marcus Brennan's fall from grace was comprehensive and brutal. The district attorney's office charged him with insurance fraud. The district attorney's office charged him with insurance fraud, attempted financial exploitation, and filing false claims. His trial was set for the following spring. But the legal consequences were almost secondary to everything else that had already been destroyed. King Financial Group, the investment firm where Marcus had been a senior partner, terminated his contract within 48 hours of the funeral. The board released a statement expressing their horror and disgust at his actions and announcing a full internal review of his client accounts. 3 major clients pulled their portfolios immediately, costing the firm approximately $12 million. Marcus's name was scrubbed from the company website like he'd never existed. The insurance company denied his claim entirely. $1.2 million gone. Their investigation concluded that Marcus had committed material misrepresentation and fraud when increasing Lily's policy while simultaneously restricting her access to life-extending treatments. They didn't just deny the claim. They referred the case to federal investigators for possible wire fraud charges. But the financial ruin was nothing compared to the social annihilation. The story went viral in ways that destroyed lives in the digital age. Videos from the funeral were viewed 60 million times in the first week alone. Marcus's face became synonymous with betrayal, greed, and cruelty. Think pieces appeared in major publications. The Man Who Counted Down His Wife's Death. How Marcus Brennan Became America's Most Hated Husband. When Success Masks Sociopathy. His LinkedIn was flooded with condemnations. His professional reputation, built over 15 years, evaporated in days. Former colleagues publicly distanced themselves. Business school classmates removed him from alumni groups. Even his country club revoked his membership. Marcus tried to fight back initially. He hired a crisis management firm, gave one disastrous interview where he claimed Lily had been mentally unstable from her medications, and attempted to paint himself as a victim of a vindictive dying woman's revenge plot. It backfired spectacularly. Richard Castellanos, Lily's attorney, released additional evidence in response. Medical records proving Lily had been mentally competent until her final week. Psychiatric evaluations she'd voluntarily undergone to ensure her testimony would be credible. And a notarized statement from Dr. Peterson confirming that Marcus had indeed rejected treatment options without consulting Lily. The public backlash intensified. Marcus deleted all his social media accounts and went into hiding. Vanessa Chun gave birth to a baby girl in February. She named her Grace and raised her alone. Dr. James Chun helped his sister financially, but made it clear their relationship would never be the same. Vanessa had lost her job, her reputation, and her naive belief that she'd been special to Marcus. She posted one statement online. "I was wrong. I was complicit in causing immense pain. I will spend the rest of my life teaching my daughter that real love doesn't require someone else's destruction." She never spoke to Marcus again. Paternity tests confirmed he was the father, but Vanessa refused child support, wanting no financial connection to him whatsoever. Marcus ended up working as a junior analyst at a mid-tier firm in New Jersey, making a fraction of his former salary. He lived in a studio apartment in a building with no doorman. His colleagues knew who he was. Everyone knew who he was and treated him accordingly. He ate lunch alone. He worked in silence. He went home to an empty apartment every night. The man who had counted down his wife's death now counted down the days of his own professional and social exile, knowing it would never end. Meanwhile, Lily's legacy flourished in ways she never could have predicted. The Lily Brennan Foundation for Cancer Patient Advocacy was established 6 months after her death, funded by her estate and public donations that poured in from around the world. The foundation provided free legal services to cancer patients dealing with insurance disputes, medical neglect, or financial exploitation by family members. Rebecca, Lily's best friend, became the executive director. Linda Morrison, the secretary who'd helped document everything, joined as operations manager. Together they helped dozens of patients in the first year alone, people who'd been denied treatments, manipulated by family members, or victimized by the very people who should have protected them. Lily taught us that vulnerability doesn't mean powerlessness, Rebecca said in an interview with Good Morning America. She was dying, but she fought back harder than most healthy people ever do. She documented everything, built her case, and executed her plan flawlessly. She's proof that you can demand justice even when the world thinks you're too weak to matter. The Foundation's hotline received thousands of calls. Stories poured in from women and men who'd been exploited during illness, who'd discovered financial betrayals while battling cancer, who'd watched family members count their money while they counted their remaining days. Lily gave us a blueprint, one caller said. She showed us we don't have to die quietly while people steal from us. Dr. James Chen left his private practice and joined the Foundation's medical advisory board. My sister made a terrible choice, he said publicly. But Lily gave me the opportunity to do something right. To help protect patients from the kind of exploitation she endured. Even Father Michael got involved, conducting workshops at the Foundation about end-of-life planning, advanced directives, and protecting yourself legally when you're at your most vulnerable. Lily's parents, devastated by their daughter's death but proud of her final act of defiance, established a scholarship in her name for women studying law with an interest in patient advocacy. The first recipient was a 32-year-old breast cancer survivor who'd been cheated by her ex-husband during treatment and wanted to prevent it from happening to others. 1 year after the funeral, on the anniversary of Lily's death, the Foundation held a memorial service. Not at the chapel where Marcus had tried to announce his engagement, somewhere new, somewhere Lily had loved. They gathered in Central Park, under the cherry blossom trees that had been Lily's favorite. 300 people attended, far more than had been at the funeral. Cancer survivors, patients' rights advocates, journalists who'd covered the story, lawyers who'd been inspired by Lily's meticulous documentation, medical professionals committed to protecting vulnerable patients. Lily's father stood at a small podium and addressed the crowd. My daughter didn't want to die, he said, his voice steady despite the tears in his eyes. She fought for every day, every hour. But when she realized her time was limited, she made a choice. She could spend her final months bitter and broken, or she could spend them building something that would outlast her death. He paused, looking around at the crowd. Lily chose to fight, not with anger or hatred, but with intelligence, strategy, and an unwavering commitment to justice. She gathered evidence. She recruited allies. She planned every detail of her exposure of Marcus's cruelty. And in doing so, she sent a message to every person who's ever been victimized while vulnerable. You are not powerless. Even at your weakest, you can demand justice. You can fight back. You can win. The crowd erupted in applause. Rebecca stepped forward next, holding a framed photograph of Lily from before she got sick, vibrant, laughing, alive. Lily used to say that the best revenge wasn't destruction. It was legacy, Rebecca said. Marcus tried to erase her, to reduce her to a tragic footnote in his success story. Instead, she became a movement, a foundation, a symbol of resistance against exploitation. She held up the photograph. This is who Lily was. Not a victim. Not a tragedy. A fighter who refused to let cruelty have the last word. The Foundation had helped 43 patients in its first year, recovered over $2 million in stolen assets, stopped 11 cases of medical exploitation, connected vulnerable patients with legal advocates who ensured their wishes were respected, their assets protected, their voices heard. 43 people who might have suffered in silence had fought back instead, because Lily had shown them how. That evening, as the memorial service ended and people dispersed into the warm spring evening, Lily's mother stood alone by her daughter's memorial plaque under the cherry blossoms. You did it, sweetheart, she whispered. You turned your pain into purpose, your betrayal into a blueprint for justice. I miss you every single day, but I'm so proud of what you built. A young woman approached hesitantly. She was thin, wore a scarf covering what was likely hair loss from chemotherapy, and held a folder clutched to her chest. "Mrs. Brennan?" she asked quietly. Lily's mother turned. "I'm sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to say thank you. Your daughter's foundation helped me. My husband was moving our money, just like Marcus did. I found out, and I didn't know what to do. But I remembered Lily's story. I called the hotline. They connected me with a lawyer. I documented everything, just like she did." The young woman's eyes filled with tears. "I'm still sick. I might not make it, but because of Lily, my kids will be protected. My husband can't steal their future. She saved my children even though she never meet them." Lily's mother embraced her, both women crying under the cherry blossoms. And somewhere, somehow, Lily's spirit could rest knowing that her final act of defiance had become something bigger than revenge. It had become hope. The story of Lily Brennan teaches us that our darkest moments don't have to define us. They can refine us into something stronger. That vulnerability isn't weakness. It's an opportunity to show the world what true courage looks like. That justice doesn't require physical strength. It requires intelligence, planning, and the refusal to surrender your dignity, even when surrender seems inevitable. Lily proved that the best revenge isn't just defeating your enemy. It's building something so powerful, so meaningful, that your legacy eclipses their cruelty completely. If this story moved you, inspired you, or reminded you that fighting back is always possible, subscribe to the channel and share Lily's message with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere right now, someone is facing their own Marcus Brennan, and they need to know what Lily knew. Even from the grave, justice can still win. End of block 5 to 9,567 characters. Needs trimming. Let me revise to 6,000 characters. Block 5. Satisfactory resolution plus powerful moral lesson. 3 months after Lily's funeral, Marcus Brennan's fall was complete. The day charged him with insurance fraud and financial exploitation. King Financial Group terminated his contract within 48 hours. 3 major clients pulled portfolios, costing the firm $12 million. His name was scrubbed from the company website. The insurance company denied his claim entirely. $1.2 million gone. They concluded he'd committed fraud when increasing Lily's policy while restricting her treatments. They referred the case to federal investigators. But financial ruin was nothing compared to social annihilation. The funeral videos were viewed 60 million times in 1 week. Marcus's face became synonymous with betrayal and greed. Publications ran pieces. The man who counted down his wife's death. America's most hated husband. His LinkedIn flooded with condemnations. His professional reputation, built over 15 years, evaporated. Former colleagues distanced themselves. His country club revoked membership. Marcus hired crisis management, gave one disastrous interview claiming Lily had been mentally unstable, and painted himself as a victim. It backfired spectacularly. Richard Castellanos released more evidence, medical records proving Lily's competence, psychiatric evaluations confirming her credibility, statements from Dr. Peterson confirming Marcus had rejected treatments without consulting her. Marcus deleted all social media and went into hiding. Vanessa gave birth to a daughter in February. She named her Grace and raised her alone. Dr. James Chen helped financially, but their relationship was forever changed. Vanessa posted one statement. "I was wrong. I was complicit in causing immense pain. I'll spend my life teaching my daughter that real love doesn't require someone else's destruction." She never spoke to Marcus again. Refused child support, wanting no connection to him. Marcus ended up as a junior analyst at a mid-tier firm in New Jersey, making a fraction of his former salary. He lived in a studio apartment. His colleagues knew who he was, everyone did, and treated him accordingly. He ate lunch alone. Worked in silence, went home to emptiness every night. The man who counted down his wife's death now counted days of his own exile, knowing it would never end. Meanwhile, Lily's legacy flourished. The Lily Brennan Foundation for Cancer Patient Advocacy was established 6 months after her death, funded by her estate and worldwide donations. The foundation provided free legal services to cancer patients dealing with insurance disputes, medical neglect, or financial exploitation. Rebecca became executive director. Linda Morrison joined as operations manager. They helped dozens of patients in the first year, people denied treatments, manipulated by family, victimized by those who should have protected them. Lily taught us that vulnerability doesn't mean powerlessness, Rebecca said on Good Morning America. She was dying but fought back harder than most healthy people ever do. She's proof you can demand justice even when the world thinks you're too weak to matter. The Foundation's hotline received thousands of calls. Stories poured in from people exploited during illness, who discovered financial betrayals while battling cancer. Lily gave us a blueprint, one caller said. She showed us we don't have to die quietly while people steal from us. Dr. James Chun joined the Foundation's medical advisory board. Lily gave me the opportunity to do something right. To help protect patients from the exploitation she endured. Lily's parents established a scholarship in her name for women studying law with interest in patient advocacy. 1 year after her death, 300 people gathered in Central Park under the cherry blossoms Lily had loved. Cancer survivors, advocates, journalists, lawyers inspired by her meticulous documentation. Lily's father addressed the crowd. My daughter didn't want to die. She fought for every day. But when she realized her time was limited, she made a choice. She could spend her final months bitter and broken, or she could build something that would outlast her death. He looked around. Lily chose to fight. Not with anger, but with intelligence, strategy, and unwavering commitment to justice. She sent a message to every person victimized while vulnerable. You are not powerless. Even at your weakest, you can demand justice. You can fight back. You can win. Applause erupted. Rebecca held up a photograph of Lily from before she got sick, vibrant, laughing, alive. Lily used to say the best revenge wasn't destruction. It was legacy. Marcus tried to erase her. Instead, she became a movement. A foundation. A symbol of resistance. The foundation had helped 43 patients in its first year. Recovered over $2 million in stolen assets. Stopped 11 cases of medical exploitation. 43 people who might have suffered in silence fought back instead, because Lily showed them how. That evening, Lily's mother stood alone by her daughter's memorial plaque. You did it, sweetheart, she whispered. You turned pain into purpose. Betrayal into a blueprint for justice. A young woman approached, thin, wearing a scarf covering chemotherapy-related hair loss. Mrs. Brennan, I wanted to say thank you. Your daughter's foundation helped me. My husband was moving our money, like Marcus did. I called the hotline. They connected me with a lawyer. I documented everything just like she did, her eyes filled with tears. I'm still sick. I might not make it. But because of Lily, my kids will be protected. She saved my children even though she never meet them. Lily's mother embraced her, both crying under the cherry blossoms. Somewhere, Lily's spirit could rest knowing her final act had become something bigger than revenge. It had become hope. Lily Brennan's story teaches us that our darkest moments don't have to define us, they can refine us into something stronger. That vulnerability isn't weakness. It's an opportunity to show true courage. That justice doesn't require physical strength. It requires intelligence, planning, and refusal to surrender dignity. Lily proved the best revenge isn't defeating your enemy. It's building something so powerful your legacy eclipses their cruelty completely. If this story moved you or reminded you that fighting back is always possible, subscribe to the channel and share Lily's message with someone who needs to hear it. Because somewhere right now, someone is facing their own betrayal, and they need to know what Lily knew. Even from the grave, justice can still win.